Hi, I'm Glenn Gore, Head of Technology for Amazon Web Services Asia Pacific, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to AWS Innovate, a virtual conference that we have put together to help accelerate your move to the AWS cloud by providing you with the knowledge, insights, and best practices on a number of common use cases. At Amazon, we value customer feedback, and based on your feedback, we ourselves continue to innovate in new and different ways to improve how we can assist you in learning about AWS. This Innovate virtual conference is based on your feedback on wanting to hear more about how to use the AWS platform. On behalf of the entire team here at AWS, I hope you enjoy today's topics and that it provides inspiration to you to go and build your own applications on the cloud. So today we have 2 tracks comprising of 10 sessions, plus a dedicated Korean language track with 5 sessions. I'll be starting things off with this keynote, and I look forward to sharing with you at the end of the conference my top 5 insights on how to build on the cloud. So AWS was the first public cloud provider starting more than 10 years ago back in 2006. And today the benefits of cloud computing are well understood. Moving from a CapEx to an OpEx based financial model, pay as you go, and only for what you use, the ability to have elastic capacity that scales up when you need it and back down when no longer required. Actually, one of the largest impacts, though, has been an increase in agility seen by our customers. And this has been through AWS removing the undifferentiated heavy lifting, which allows you to focus on creating great software and services for your own customers. We shift forward 10 years to today, and we continue to see strong growth of the AWS platform. From Q1 2015 through to Q1 2016, our business grew 64% year on year. And each month we're supporting more than 1 million active customers. And these million customers range from students to hobbyists to some of the world's greatest startups to even some of the largest global enterprises that exist. And it's incredible when you consider that all these customers are using the same underlying set of services and technologies to deliver vastly different outcomes at all kinds of scale. And talking about scale, our compute service, Elastic Compute Cloud or EC2, is 10 times the size of the other 14 cloud providers combined. But there really is no compression algorithm for experience when you're dealing with massive scale. And in a little under 10 years, we've surpassed more than $10 billion in run rate business. Actually, that makes us the fastest technology company to reach that revenue landmark. Today, AWS has become the cloud technology platform of choice. Initially, the lower costs and elasticity of the cloud was most attractive to startups. But what we observed today is that the benefits to all customers is much, much more. Using the AWS platform to reinvent how you utilize technology has delivered some incredible customer outcomes. And I want to share 4 of these customers with you today. Starting with Bristol Myers Squibb, who reduced the time it took to run their clinical trials by 98% by using the AWS cloud. What this allows them to get new drugs to market more quickly. We have gaming companies such as Supercell, who when they launched their massively successful game Clash Royale, had millions of concurrent players at launch. Using the cloud allowed them to elastically scale their launch platform where they didn't even know how many customers may be playing that game at launch. Sports are evolving as well, where the Major League Baseball in the United States is using missile tracking technology to track the ball and players in real time. This generates petabytes of data over a year, but allows them to give improved real-time statistics that makes it more entertaining and enjoyable for fans to watch. It also gives a lot of good data to coaches around what the certain plays should have been or could have been on the field. And finally, we have FINRA, who are able to use the scale of the AWS cloud to replay billions of trades instantly on AWS. Across virtually every industry, we're seeing tremendous amounts of innovation. So today I want to share with you 3 megatrends in how our customers are innovating. Information inside an organization is its lifeblood. To be able to move and use that information in a meaningful way drives the organization. The more easily and the faster you can access and use that information, the more quickly you can use it to make decisions and take feedback on those decisions and feed that back into your processes. Unfortunately, it has become common for many organizations that they have created large technical debts, which has constrained their ability to innovate and leverage their information in new ways. So the first mega trend we will cover is removing the constraints of carrying technical debt. As customers use AWS, we see that they are starting to unbound the creativity of their developers and their teams through the use of technology. Actually, technology is becoming the accelerant that it was promised to be, instead of the constraint that it had become in large physical infrastructure environments. At AWS, we've spent the last 10 years building out a pretty robust, deep, and broad platform of infrastructure technology services. AWS provides the most diverse cloud platform comprising of over 70 major services, ranging from basic infrastructure services through to sophisticated data analytics platforms. Our services can be grouped together into 6 major categories, starting with our global physical infrastructure, comprised of our regions, availability zones, edge locations, and global network. Our infrastructure services, which includes compute, storage, networking, databases, and operational monitoring and reporting. Platform services, which are higher-level services that allows you to manage analytics workloads, mobility and mobile apps, and application services, DevOps, and the Internet of Things. Enterprise services focuses on tools and services to help you migrate and run workloads from your on-premises facilities to the cloud. It also includes traditional IT services such as email, collaboration, and virtual desktops in the cloud. At Amazon, security is our #1 priority, and hence we have a rich suite of security and compliance solutions built directly into the platform. And last but not least, we have the marketplace, which allows you to select from leading third-party solutions at the click of a button, and you can even deploy your own applications to the marketplace, which can be used by the 1 million+ AWS customers globally. So I wanted to also share with you that our platform has the broadest set of accreditations and certifications in the industry. As a customer on the platform, many of the controls specified by these standards you can use at no additional cost or added complexity to your own solutions. For example, we can provide a secure PCI DSS 3.1 environment that allows merchants to establish a secure cardholder environment that then allows them to achieve their own certification by having confidence that the underlying technology infrastructure is compliant. Now, one of the catch-22s of the past was that you couldn't move fast without sacrificing control. Today, customers are wanting to move fast and maintain control. Many customers look at this as an either-or decision. I can either move fast or stay secure. And this is actually kind of a false choice when you have the breadth of the infrastructure platform available to you that we have on AWS today. Today, you can move fast and stay secure, and has proven to be incredibly important to get the maximum value of your applications and the maximum value of AWS. Now, at AWS, we're always looking at where we can innovate next. We've done a lot with SSD-based EBS storage over the past few years, looking at how SSD can provide faster performance for our elastic block storage service. And we asked a question not too long ago: can we innovate in the same way with magnetic media? Magnetic media and hard drives have a couple of really nice characteristics if you're building out a large-scale cloud platform. They're cheap. They have a particular characteristic for sequential reads, i.e. high throughput reads. And can we provide a new service which would allow us to provide common, sequential, high throughput performance using magnetic media? And actually what we've found is that magnetic media is excellent for big data workloads. In fact, this is the industry's best price performance for block storage for these high throughput workloads, commonly seen in log processing, streaming data processing, and specifically Apache Kafka. Data analytics with MapReduce. In fact, Elastic MapReduce will support these new block volumes straight out of the gate. Data warehousing and less frequently accessed data that can sit in cold volumes. Now, the first of these is a throughput optimized volume called SD1. This provides up to 500 megabytes a second at a remarkably low cost. This is a step-level change for customers in the cost and performance of hard drives, which are still the optimal choice for block storage for big data. So, up to 500 megasecond at 4.5 cents per gigabyte per month. And for data which you're accessing less frequently, we have a cold hard drive volume, SC1, which provides up to 250 megabytes a second at just 2.5 cents per gigabyte per month. That's cheaper than S3. A step-level change for customers in the cost and performance of hard drives, which are still the optimal choice of block storage for big data. Compare this to the throughput of 160 meg per second on SSD with GP2 block storage, or up to 320 megabytes per second on Provision IOPS or IO1. We're seeing customers already using this. Localytics, for example, using a lifecycle engagement platform for web and mobile apps, is used in more than 37,000 apps on more than 2.7 billion devices. And they saved over 50% on their monthly storage costs. It's reliable through Confluent, where they also achieved 50% savings and same throughput and performance. It enables organizations to harness business value from their streamed data. EBS throughput optimized hard drives ST1 and EBS cold hard drive SC1 volumes consistently deliver the necessary throughput, performance and reliability to run Kafka Splunk. They deliver robust infrastructure monitoring, security and compliance and business analytics solutions for its customers, enabling customers to better optimize their expenses and maintain peak performance. Another trend that we see is customers moving to agility through new computing models. The evolution of computing has gone in stages. For example, it started with on-premises, where it takes weeks to buy, install physical servers, and deploy applications. In 2006, Amazon EC2 made the old way to simple and fast, and it brought provisioning times down to mere minutes. And then more recently, Amazon EC2 introduced Container Service, or ECS, which allows you to easily run and manage Docker-enabled applications across a cluster of Amazon EC2 instances. Applications packaged as containers locally will deploy and run in the same way as containers managed by Amazon ECS. Amazon ECS eliminates the need to install, operate, and scale your own cluster management infrastructure and allows you to schedule Docker-enabled applications across your cluster based on your resource needs and availability requirements. Using ECS allows you to provision compute in seconds. Now, another trend that we see is customers moving to simplify relentlessly their development and their own operations. And this has come through the internet scale application components. And the first internet scale web application component was S3, the simple storage service. The internet scale of S3 is a building block which allowed developers to focus more on their code and their application without having to worry about procuring the provision or the provisions in storage. When we built S3, it had 5 very simple, seemingly, characteristics. It had to be extremely simple and easy to use. It had to be scalable. It had to be delivered at low cost. It had to be reliable, and it had to be low latency. So S3 became the first internet scale component for applications which were growing quickly. And these building blocks for internet scale applications really took off. And this was the foundation for a lot of the innovation that we saw from customers in the early days of AWS. The second component is DynamoDB, an internet scale NoSQL database that again is simple to use, scalable, low cost, reliable, and provides low latency to transactional requests. DynamoDB underpins many of the largest internet scale websites, applications, and mobile apps that are running today. And the third internet scale building block is AWS Lambda. What if we could remove the server itself from compute workloads? So Lambda is a serverless compute platform which is simple to use. Again, you're going to see that these internet scale blocks have the same characteristics. Their simplicity in their use, they're extremely scalable, they low cost, extremely reliable, and offer low latency responses to your tasks. And Lambda allows you to deploy your code in seconds. You only get charged for the runtime of your code in sub-second blocks. So you're no more paying for idle time on your servers. You only pay for the time that the code is being executed. And best of all, there's no service to procure, provision, or manage, even in the cloud. Lambda was announced 2 years ago, and the adoption of Lambda by customers has been truly remarkable. So the next mega trend is that a lot of our customers are now able to observe the data and the way that their customers are using their applications, and then quickly iterate and provide better experiences based on that information, and to make disparate connections that they may not have been able to make using data analytics in the past. So, more and more of our customers that are driving these kind of inventive workloads are increasingly being driven by the data that their applications are creating. And so you have these core components of big data. If you dive into these big data services, it starts with S3, our object storage service that allows you to store your data at scale in a highly durable manner. The first stage of any big data application is to collect and store that data at scale. We have high-performance database solutions, including DynamoDB, which is a scalable NoSQL database built for the cloud. We also have Postgres, MySQL, Microsoft SQL, Aurora that you can choose as well. You can run analytics clusters using Hadoop and Spark through to the real-time streaming analytics platform Kinesis. And you can work with all of this data using Redshift as your data warehouse and search through the massive amounts of data using Elasticsearch. What this really allows is for you to build a comprehensive and sophisticated big data platform entirely within AWS. Now, last year, we announced Snowball. And Snowball is a petabyte-scale data transportation service using custom-designed hardware where data is encrypted end-to-end. And Snowball is designed to be shipped with no additional packaging. To aid in this, it even has an e-ink label that updates automatically with shipping details. It has GPS built into it that as it's shipped around, we can track where it is, ensuring the safety of your data as it's in transit from your on-premises facilities to the AWS cloud facilities. And the way that this works is you just make the request for a Snowball device from the console. And we ship you the Snowball, you plug it in, you load your data in, the keys are managed off the device. So, the data is encrypted on the device, but the keys themselves are stored inside the AWS Key Management Service. And this provides end-to-end custody of the data. We receive the device and then load the data set into AWS. So this is perfect for large customer data sets, which you want to move as quickly as possible. You don't just have to use one of these. If you have 10 Snowballs connected to your network DMZ, that's the equivalent of a throughput of around 100 gig network connection. So this can be a very effective way of moving large amounts of data into AWS. Now, as we move data to the cloud, customers are wanting to connect with their customers wherever they are, independent of the device used. And some of the biggest category-defining applications run on top of AWS, whether it's Netflix or Tinder, Supercell, Sega, Yelp, Airbnb, they're all running on top of AWS. For example, Periscope is a live video streaming app on iPhones and Android devices. And they moved their push messaging system to the Simple Notification Service, or SNS, that allows them to send hundreds of millions of push messages daily to their customers. And increasingly what we're seeing is that customers are doing is using a mobile backend running on top of AWS. So they're talking to services like DynamoDB, S3, and RDS to store their data and content. They're using the AWS Mobile Analytics Service to collect usage data from how their customers are using their mobile applications. And then they're communicating and engaging with their users using the Simple Notification Push service. And all of this is being mediated through a couple of different services on AWS. The first is Lambda. We talked a little bit about this earlier. Lambda is becoming the mobile backend of choice for a large number of mobile applications. Applications are also communicating with their backends through API Gateway. What I want to do is just talk a little bit more about Amazon Cognito. We're expanding Amazon Cognito with a new feature that many developers have told us they want. Many developers want to be able to sign up and sign in users with their own identity service. Using something like Login by Amazon or Facebook is great for a subset of usage, but a lot of customers also want to provide their own identity pools. But they don't want to have to build and maintain an additional identity service to be able to do that. And they don't want to have to spend all their time trying to get the security right in order to be able to do it. The identity pool feature allows easy user management. You can allow customers to sign up and sign in with their email address or their telephone number. We have Lambda-driven workflows. So as soon as a customer signs up, you can add customized responses using Lambda to drive a notification, for example, or move data into DynamoDB. We provide automatic multi-factor authentication right out of the box. And we'll even provide email and phone number verification as part of the service. This is a fully managed identity pool service available for Amazon Cognito. So, the third megatrend that we're going to finish on today is that the companies that are innovating on top of AWS are refusing to settle for the status quo. They're using the ability to be able to experiment quickly, scale up when they need to power their digital transformations inside their own organizations. And they're able to build entirely new products that were never part of their core competency, that are completely transforming their business in very, very short timeframes. Today, the journey to AWS is an extremely well-trodden path. It starts and moves in a couple of different phases. Phase 1 is typically organizations and enterprises moving development and test environments and building altogether new applications on AWS. The second phase is moving digital, analytics, and mobile applications into AWS. The third phase is data center migration and moving mission-critical production apps before the last stage, which is going all in on AWS. Now, this may happen in a slightly different order or in different ways within your own organization. But overall, in aggregate, this is a very common path. And for many customers, the destination is to be all in on AWS for their workloads. So listening to customer feedback as they migrate to the cloud shows that for many organizations, they'll be running in a hybrid model for quite some time. It's just a reality. It takes some time to move from an on-premises environment to the cloud. And so we've built a broad set of services to enable hybrid applications and moving and integrating your existing on-premises infrastructure with AWS. Whether it's integrated networking, extending your VPN up into AWS, or just an extension of your existing data center using Direct Connect for that consistent network connectivity. Whether it's integrated identity using SAML and the identity services we provide, or integrated management using vCenter or System Center plugins to manage AWS as if they were just additional servers and virtual machines in your existing virtualized environment. We have development tools such as Opworks, which will deploy applications on premises just as easily as they deploy into AWS. And we have a storage gateway which will run as a VM inside your data center and take that data and provide it into AWS as a hot backup. And of course, we have the marketplace, which now has metered billing, which gives you a single source of billing for the applications that you're using both on premises and on AWS. Now, the first step of a successful migration is early training and certification. It's a really good thing to do for your organization. Getting executive alignment and sponsorship is a good thing to do as well. Actually, where we see things most successful, we see very strong, aggressive goals being set by the senior leadership inside enterprises to migrate to AWS. And once you have that training and certification and alignment inside your organization, it's merely a matter of moving all of your data, all of your databases, and all of your applications to AWS. To help with database migration, in November 2015, we announced the Database Migration Service. And this allows you to take on-premises databases, MySQL, Postgres, Oracle, SQL Server, and automatically move them into the AWS environment so that they run on their equivalent engines running on AWS inside RDS. Another component of migration is the application migration itself. It often takes weeks or months just to perform a complete discovery in preparation of a cloud migration. of all the applications and databases and performance evaluations and dependencies. There's a lot of complexity in the process to determine how applications are dependent on each other and the underlying infrastructure. Now, there are some cloud migration tools out there today. These typically focus on the downstream work of actually migrating the applications once you've identified them. So, we've heard loud and clear from customers that they wanted an easier way to be able to identify and discover their applications that they're running and the dependencies of those applications. And so we've announced the availability of the AWS Application Discovery Service, which allows you to automate the discovery of data center applications and their dependencies. The service automatically discovers the inventory of applications running in a customer data center. The service determines how applications are dependent on each other or on underlying infrastructure. The service measures applications and processes running on hosts to determine a performance baseline. It looks at the security of applications and looks at how it can secure application discovery data through end-to-end encryption. The service leverages an open data format, and public API for this service gives partners and customers more flexibility to integrate with your ISV and SI partner application migration offerings. So, I've covered the main buckets that we see from customers, the mega trends that we see in terms of simplification and removing constraints in terms of using data to become more data-driven and responding to customers more effectively, and then not being reliant on the status quo and driving transformation through the cloud on AWS. So what I hope for you all is that you're able to consistently reinvent your IT, your processes, and your businesses around and around as quickly as possible. Drive the transformation and the innovation inside your own organization. Thank you for participating in today's Innovate virtual conference. Please join me later in the conference where I'll run through my top 5 insights on building applications and services in the cloud itself. To gain more confidence and hands-on experience with AWS, watch our instruction videos and explore the self-paced labs. You can also attend our instructor-led classes by qualified AWS instructors and learn how to design, deploy, and operate highly available, cost-effective, and secure applications on AWS. You can validate your technical expertise with AWS and use practice exams to help you prepare for AWS certification. You can get more info at the following website, aws.amazon.com/training. Thank you for attending the session. We hope you found it interesting. Do provide us with your feedback and let us know how we can improve the event experience for you in the future. Thank you.